This is Real Politics.
Hello.
Hi.
Unmute. Hello. Welcome to Real Politics Live. I'm your host, Roman Bettis. And here with us is Boss Lady Mari De Leon. Hi, Mari.
Hi.
And we also have Sofia Peña, who's running for McAllen ISD School Board Place 6 in McAllen. Hi, Sofia. Let me do the quick intro. Please, if you haven't already, please like our page here at facebook.com/realpoliticslive or subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/realpolitics or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/realpolitics. And that will be great. We would appreciate it. And please do us a favor and share this video, this live stream, and help us avoid the shadow banning that exists on Facebook. And if you want to find us on YouTube and you can share that link on any of your social media platforms, that'd be great. And today at Real Politics Live, we'll be interviewing Sofia Peña, again, who is running for McAllen ISD School Board Place 6. And so this should be a fun evening of discussing education in McAllen, the second largest city in the valley. And also, I think, are you all like the second largest ISD in Hidalgo County, or is
La Jolla is large too, so I think La Jolla might be a little bit larger.
Wow.
They've got a little bit of a bigger rural area.
Oh, no wonder. I didn't think so. Yeah. I don't even think of La Jolla as being big. And so, Sofia, welcome, Claudia. So if you have any questions for Sofia, please put them on there. If you have any comment, that'd be great, especially for your friends that live in McAllen, in and around McAllen, that'd be great. Sophie, so do you go by Sophie, Sofia? What, do you have a nickname?
Sophia. Sophia, yeah.
Yeah, you hate Sophie. Everybody's very particular.
Really? Actually, growing up, and my closest family and friends that grew up with me call me Soap.
Really?
It's a nickname I got when I was young in school, and so if you've grown up with me or know me really, really well, you call me pretty much Soap. But everybody else calls me Sophia. I answer to Sophie as well.
Okay, no, we'll call you Sophia because that's going to be the name on the ballot, so everybody knows what your name is. And Sophia, why are you running for? Who are you? Like, just tell me who you are first, and then you can tell me why you're running.
Thank you. So yes, Sofia Peña, and I'm running for school board in McAllen. I was actually born in Mission, and I grew up in Sullivan City, Texas. Tiny little one-stop light, Sullivan City. Had a great childhood. We lived on a ranch. And I went to school in La Jolla, oddly enough. You just mentioned La Jolla. And so graduated there and went to college. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, police administration, and master's degree in higher ed administration and leadership. And I am a doctoral candidate in educational leadership. So a lot of school. And at present, I spent many years in higher education with a focus in K-12. And I am currently the executive director for the most wonderful organization ever. It's Capable Kids Foundation, and we work with kids with disabilities.
Oh, wow. And what made you want to work with kids with disabilities?
So, you get to a point in life when you've done a lot and you've worked hard, and at some point you really need something that, not that education and higher education didn't speak to my heart. It was a different speaking to my heart. I feel like I helped a lot of kids attain their higher education goals and help families through that process. But I needed something different and something a little more heartwarming, and found Capable Kids Foundation and the work that we do there, helping families of children with disabilities, making sure that they are socially included, that they are have an advocate for them, is just makes my heart so full. And I always tell people my job is love every day. There's no way to not love what we do. And Capable Kids play such an important role in the community, supporting the disability community. And so it is another form of education. So I didn't really leave education. I'm still in education, and I'm a lifelong learner, so it really just speaks to my heart, and I feel like we do really great work.
Yeah. No, one of the things that I think as a parent, obviously, is luckily I don't have any necessarily per se special needs children, but it warmed my heart that the school districts try to help parents with those needs. Do you by any chance know if there's anybody on the McAllen school board right now that's focused on special needs as being like not their pet project, but their real go-getter initiative that they want to accomplish there at McAllen ISD? And if there isn't one, would you be willing to be that candidate or that office holder?
Well, I think that all of the current school board members are all, well, they're all friends of Capable Kids. So they support the work that I do personally. And I think they're all advocates for children with special needs. Of course, my work with Capable Kids means that I'm going to be a staunch advocate for special needs. And rightfully so, I am all about inclusion and making sure that our families of children with disabilities have the same amenities that other people do. Right now, we're working on some projects to make sure that existing parks or any new parks are all either upgraded or built to be inclusive. And so I will be a staunch advocate for persons or the disability community.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm proud to know people that are involved that here in Brownsville, which where I live, they've just today, I think it was today, they opened up or started breaking ground on making sure that every single playground in elementary schools, I think there are 34 elementary schools here in Brownsville, that they all have playgrounds are inclusive and accessible for kids with disabilities. Do you know if that's happening in McAllen? And if it isn't, is that something that you could push for as a school board member?
Oh, absolutely. We're part of the Brownsville projects. Capable Kids is valley-wide. We serve children from Star, Hidalgo, Cameron, Willacy County, and the surrounding counties as well. And so we're working with every city and county and officials that we can to make these projects, the inclusion parks, a reality. Now, I currently am working with a partnership or collaboration between Capable Kids Foundation, Hidalgo County Precinct 4, McAllen ISD, and the city of McAllen we are close to breaking ground on an inclusive park at Sanchez Elementary, which is way north on 29th Street in McAllen. So there's going to be a brand new inclusive park in McAllen. Cool. And there's also one in Precinct 2 with Hidalgo County Commissioner Eddie Cantu has one in Valley View. So they're up and coming. We're seeing a lot more progress in that area, and I'm happy and very proud to be part of that.
Yeah. Mari? You have anything you want to? Madi, if you have a question or anybody has a question for
not yet. I'm actually listening. I think I've met you though. I think I've met you before. I think I met you at the McAllen prayer breakfast last year.
I was there, yeah. So we might have met there, yeah.
Yeah, I believe at that time I was with Judge Ismael Fonseca.
Yeah, you were sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
Now
So now you know each other. Yay! Good job.
World, tiny little world.
Well, yeah, everybody knows everybody somehow in Hidalgo County or in the Valley. As a school board member, as a candidate, do you think this is going to be a question that everyone's going to ask you. So what are your thoughts on coronavirus in terms of how education is happening? Hey, Jessica, she's a school board member here at Brownsville ISD. Hi, Jess. What are your thoughts on coronavirus and how McAllen ISD and what maybe you could offer and insight as to how they could make it better potentially for making sure that our kids can go back to school at some point, or if not, the kids that can't make it, that are in special need, that are unable to go back because they have health issues, are able to have that virtual education. I'm just curious, and we'll go in that topic for a little while, I guess.
Yeah. So hot topic, right? Everybody's had to kind of adjust to this new situation. It's unprecedented. I think we weren't expecting it. Almost seems like overnight we went from what we were used to everybody stay home and, complete fear and panic almost. And so I think that the school districts, not just McAllen, but all school districts have had to really come together with a plan to ensure that everybody's going to be safe and that everybody has all the tools that they need to be able to continue learning and thriving, whether it's learning virtually or some children have returned to the classroom. And the ISD, McAllen ISD, I think has done an incredible job of making sure that the classrooms are safe, that the children are socially distant, and that they're able to be there safely and have the parents feel comfortable about having them there. Not every parent is able to stay home with their children. I know that when we all transition to virtual learning, you have parents that work during the day or work multiple jobs, and being at home with their kids to help facilitate the learning is not always easy or accessible to the kids. So I think from what I know and have spoken to some people, McAllen ISD is following CDC rules. And I think that's the proper thing to do at this point. This is a new situation for all of us. And we just need to make sure that we're taking the proper steps to make sure everyone is safe. And virtual learning is not for everybody. And not everybody, there's people who have to have that face-to-face interaction. And so for those kids, I think being able to come into the classroom, although they are in a classroom where they're on a computer and they're learning that way, they're still learning virtually. I think having that person in front of them, a teacher there accessible to them to help them troubleshoot is working for some. And so at this point, I'm not on the board, but I will be an advocate as well for making sure that if we are able to come back to the classroom, that we are doing everything possible to make sure that everyone is as safe as can be. So that means providing more PPE, training, whatever it takes to make sure that everybody is safe. And as far as learning from home, well, McAllen ISD has also done a good job of making sure that students have the technology and that the teachers are there to facilitate training and that they've got all the tools that they need. Again, it's an unprecedented situation, and it's not something that we could just adjust to from one day to the next. So we're all learning as we're going. We're making, mistakes have been made. That's how you transition into a new situation, is to just assess the needs, assess what's working, what's not, regroup, come back and have a plan to make sure that all of those needs are being met. So I do think following CDC guidelines, McAllen ISD is doing all they can to make sure everyone is safe.
Yeah. Again, sorry, I do need to do reintroduce. Hi, this is this is Real Politics Live. You're listening to Sofia Benavides. Sorry, my brain is having a brain fart. Sofia Peña, who's a candidate for McAllen ISD School Board Place 6. Please share and like our live stream so that we can help spread her message and you can ask questions of her. So, Mari, what is your question?
So my question actually was, so my understanding with McAllen ISD, I mean, this district was pioneer in introducing Apple technology, Apple devices technology into the school system, very, very different. But I think that we are in unprecedented times, but I think it goes back to, this is a state of emergency, that it is a declaratory emergency that not only our president made, but our governor and every other leader within our community has said to everyone, hey, be cautious and so forth. Now, without chiming into everyone's rhetoric and their positions on COVID, how do you think that because the news is coming out that there's new strains that are developing, some of them are more, it's easily more contagious than the original COVID-19. If you do win your position on the board, what exactly do you feel will your position be? We have to maintain online instruction, which is almost similar. It's almost like a hybrid program. You have some students that are in, some students that are not. Will your position change if things get worse to where if it was working, let's not break it. And if the reports aren't increasing, let's leave it as is. Or will you listen to the teachers and the teachers and parents who are saying, we need to return to remote learning? What do you think about that?
So I think holistically, we need to we need to have everybody's input. I think it's not a decision that the board should make alone or the district should make alone. Everybody's input should count, you know, and being safe is number one. Whether it's, you know, if they're going to school in a hybrid situation where maybe they go a day or two and they stay home a day or two, however that may be, you know, unprecedented. We're learning new things every day. Every day, just this today, I heard about a South African,
B.
yeah, no, not a South African strain of the COVID.
Oh, yes.
Variant.
This is pretty darn strong, right? It's a lot, the strongest one of all the different strains. And I think at this point, what we're needing to do is make sure that as many people as can be vaccinated, if they want to be vaccinated, should get the vaccine. And I think, I can't tell you right now my opinion would change or not. We're changing daily. Every day we get a new, whether it's a new strain or just today, the numbers were so high, the numbers that were reported of positive cases, and we just can't be sure that only this method works, only hybrid education works, or only staying home and working remotely works. Obviously, it doesn't work for everybody. We're all different learners. Now, the world itself has gone to technology for learning. A lot of the universities are completely online universities. So if you're talking about if somebody says to me, well, it's impossible for everybody to learn virtually, we are in a virtual situation where look at what we're doing. You know, we could have done this in a studio together, and we're all in different locations and we're having this discussion virtually. I meet with everybody that I meet with on a daily basis virtually. Rarely do we actually sit in a room together anymore. So I can't say that right now this is what I think works and this is what will continue to work. It will evolve and it will change, and we will, if I win this seat, I will make sure that we are listening to the news, that we're listening to the people who make the decisions, we're listening to the science, we're listening to the experts and anyone else and making adjustments accordingly. But I do think that we need to take a holistic approach and everybody needs to have some input in those decisions.
Nationally and even locally in some school districts, there are issues with regards to teachers associations or unions, depending on where you live. That's what they're called, are putting their foot down and trying so desperately to have their voice heard with the school districts. And sometimes, or the school boards, they go through the school board member as opposed to going through the proper channels or going through the system and going through the school superintendent. What are your thoughts on your relationship as a candidate and also as a potential office holder with relationship with associations and unions? And
well, I do believe that those unions serve a good purpose and they advocate for teachers, and I'm an advocate for teachers. I'm an advocate for education, and I will advocate for students and teachers always, and I will listen to them. One of the things that anybody who knows me or has worked with me or has had the opportunity to deal with me, I never make a decision based on one side. I like to listen to both sides and then take everything into account. Very fair, and that's my slogan. I'm all that I can offer anybody as a candidate, and if I happen to be lucky enough to serve, is honest and fair decision making. That is all that I can offer at this point. And that means just listening to every side of the story, doing my research, making sure that I'm prepared, and then doing what's best for the overall good of everyone. You can't, there's never a situation where everybody wins or everybody loses. So we have to do what's for the greater good. And that's kind of the way I operate all the time. So that's really going to be how I take things, just make sure that I've got as much information and input from both sides as possible, or all sides. There's not just both sides, but all sides.
yeah. Hi to everybody who said hi. I'm just trying to wave and not interrupt Sophia. Charlie's one of our co-hosts. Commissioner, how are you doing? The other person behind me was Commissioner from Mercedes. Hopefully he's enjoying himself as a commissioner in Mercedes and doing a good job there. I'm sure he is, or we would have heard it in I don't know, the town choir, if it still exists there in the Mid-Valley. The job of a school board member, what is your idea of a school board member? Is it an advocate for a student? advocate for the voter, advocate for the teachers, or a hybrid of all? And what is your perception of what a school board member is?
I do think that you have to advocate for all, and you have to make decisions that are for the greater good. I just spoke about that or to that a bit ago. I think that you are tasked with, and you're not, somebody said, what are you going to do the other day to me? What are you going to do about this or a particular topic? And I said, if I am lucky enough to serve, I'm one voice on that board. And if I were that one voice, then I'm completely an independent thinker. That is something else about me that I really want to share. Is I'm not going to just go with a decision because it's what everybody else is doing. If I don't think it's the right decision, I will speak up. I've never been a fly on the wall per se, just kind of go with the flow. I consider myself a leader. I consider myself someone who is very much an independent thinker, and I do my research before I make decisions. So I think a school board member's role is to advocate for the children, for the students, advocate for the teachers, advocate for the community, for the parents, depending on the topic. You can't say, well, this is who I am. I'm an advocate for children, and it's always going to be about the children. It's about the whole community and making sure that the community is represented and that they're heard. And so I'm also a really great listener. I'm more of a chatterbox than anything else because I can just talk all day. But
that's sort of me too. It's hard to be in this position. Yeah, it's okay. It's hard to be in this position, but I always want to make sure that you all get your voices heard more than me, because I do have questions. I mean, I don't live in McAllen, but every city in the Valley is important in their entities. And so the questions I'm asking are very similar to the questions I think that parents in McAllen are going to be asking. No, I'm not, Miss Producer, saying I'm squirming because he hasn't said much. Not actually accurate, Miss Producer, and you know that. The statewide and even nationally, we've seen school students not doing as well. The Monitor had a story about our school district in Brownsville not doing well, having way too many Fs and having to forcing students to come essentially in person in order to regain their credit. High schoolers, what are your thoughts on trying to improve the failure rate? I'm assuming that does have to exist because we're doing virtually in McAllen, or maybe I'm wrong and there is not a huge high failure rate in McAllen and it's just in Brownsville.
No, I don't think that it's just in Brownsville, and I'm not sure what the basis was for writing that article, but I do think that since we've transitioned, I mean, failure rates exist whether we were traditionally learning the way we were before the COVID situation. Failure rates were still at an all-time high. And I think that in order to address failure rates, whether you're learning online, you're learning in person, whatever the case may be, it's about your foundation. And your children at a very young age, when they're learning to read and write, that's their foundation. If they don't know how to learn, if they don't know how to read and write at a very young age, and also to be able to articulate themselves, they're going to have trouble and they're going to struggle. So I think if you have good, strong elementary education and a good foundation, children will thrive and they will do well. It also starts at home. It's important for children to learn at home before they get to school. And I'm not saying mom and dad have to sit there and teach them how to read, but children need to learn how to learn. They need to learn how to ask questions. So self-advocacy is huge. But I do think that having a solid foundation at the elementary level and with a very strong transitional middle school into high school, one of the things that has happened in the high schools now is the last 2 years of high school have essentially become college. So we've got early college high schools across the Valley. I love to tell people my story, and I spent a lot of years at South Texas College, and I take a lot of credit for the creation of the early college high school program in this area. When I was with South Texas College, we started with 3 early college high schools that were part of a TEA grant, and they partnered with South Texas College to do the college credits. From there, this project just kind of took off, and every school district at some point has an early college high school, which is essentially becomes another high school, right? But what kids are doing is they're taking college coursework and high school coursework at the same time. And by the time they leave high school, optimally, you want them to leave with an associate's degree because it's already a degree they can take with them and into the workforce. But it's not for everybody. And some kids need a little bit more help than others. And if they lack that foundation and that ability to learn and to self-advocate and to be responsible for their own learning, is learning isn't just the teacher has to teach you something. You also have to be responsible and able to learn and be responsible for your own learning. There's a lot of skills involved with children succeeding. It's not just, hey, now we're all doing this virtually and the kids are not learning. Well, they're, unprecedented again, right? So we need to make sure as we move, we're already in an age where everybody is technologically savvy coming up, right? I'm not as techie as my 6-year-old godson. When he's 6 years old and he can operate that iPhone like, crazy. He could probably fix my phone if something went wrong with it, right?
Probably good.
So technology is the way of learning, and virtual learning it's in our midst. It was just forced upon us. So I think we need to do a good job of making sure that foundation is there for kids and address the needs as you move forward.
Yeah, I want to circle back onto, I'm going to use the word that's apparently the phrase of the weekend, circle back to the idea of dual credit, but I want to ask Roy's question. Do you think the students of McAllen ISD should take the STAR test this year?
That's a tough, loaded question. I don't know that I can answer that for you. I think that we've spent an entire almost year trying to transition students to online learning. Some who have no one at home to help them facilitate one, some who don't have the technology access that they need. Maybe they have spotty Wi-Fi or no Wi-Fi and they have to travel somewhere in order to be able to connect. So connectivity issues. So I think we've spent a year just trying to learn how to learn in this new format and forcing them to take the STAR test. You're going to get mixed results. And so I don't know that I am against it or for it at this point, but I do know that we need to do a better job of making sure that kids have what they need in the form of technology, are able to use that technology and have the ability to have the supports in place to be able to continue to learn. So at this point, testing may or may not give you good results based on their situation at home. Some kids have extremely great technology and good connectivity and everything, and they're self-learners and they're able to get through it really quick, but not everybody learns that way. So I think until we've established a comfortable means and making sure that everybody is accessing and able to navigate and get the support that they need, testing is going to be a mixed bag of results.
Yeah. Again, we're with Sofia Peña. Oh gosh, I keep wanting to call the other name, and it's all. I'm going to blame Madi because she interrupted me last time. Now I have it in my face for some reason. Sofia Peña.
I know Sophie,
yeah, I do too.
I didn't call her Ben Avida.
I know, but ever since you interrupted me, it's been in my head now. It's okay.
Yeah,
no, but
I'm Commissioner Benavide as well. So
yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of her, so it's not a plus. So don't mention her very much. Sofia Peña, candidate for McAllen ISD School Board, Place 6. If you have any questions for Sofia, please share them just like Roy did and others have. So we would appreciate it, and please share the feed again. Madi, do you have a question, or can I go circle back to the dual credit?
I just came on. I just started today. I did a career change, so today was my first day, and I'm trying to get caught up mentally with my McAllen politics, especially on the school board, which I know a lot of I would say probably majority of the members on that board. So you'd be a part of a very good crowd, but also, education is very important to me. Personally. And I think that, I'm from Edinburgh, so my Edinburgh School Board knows exactly who I am, because I am that person that will stand up before a podium and put our elected officials on the hot seat when needed, because believe it or not, there's a lot of teachers who are very scared to voice their opinions.
Mhm.
And a lot of them, and I'm not, if the politics exist here in Edinburgh, I'm more than certain it exists there because we live in Hidalgo County either way. Majority of them are scared to lose their jobs. And, and just to be clear for the listeners who are on, I think school board members don't just only rely on educating the child in the classroom. It's about teacher salaries, it's about contracts, it's about expansion of facilities and management. And when I think of school board, I think of the maintenance worker and the cafeteria lady, because my aunts served in those capacities. Some of my uncles do as well, school bus drivers. So school board leaders and those wishing to be on those seats are not solely going to be responsible for the instruction in the classroom. And I would even argue that some school board members would say that they have no control over that.
Mhm.
And I would beg to differ. I think that school board members have a complete and complete authority as to how the district moves forward. And they have complete autonomy as to how that would happen. But some school board members find it very easy to hide behind what their true responsibilities are and what they're really going to do for the students and the families in those communities. So it's like you said, it's a little bit of everything. But you see, I love education so much that I even studied performance measures in Region 1 and how the No Child Left Behind Act really impacts our communities. And I'm a nerd, okay? That's just me. I'm a nerd, and I am someone who always wants to, there's a problem, how do we solve it? And so for me in my studies, that was something that I wanted to focus on. Even though I am not an educator and even though I have not taught in a classroom, I can tell you this, and there's things that you really mentioned that are going to be very important in your role if you do become a school board member without even knowing if you have an opponent. But there's a lot of challenges that occur in the classroom. Okay, not just in the classroom, there's challenges that occur at home. Our system really doesn't lend itself to improve. But then again, that's probably why I'm not in the education arena, because I would probably tell my administrators you're doing this wrong, and these are better ways and alternatives. But I guess where I'm trying to get at is that you would be in a position to create initiatives that are going to be able to assist and grow a community. It's not just those who come from affluent homes, but those children who are left behind, unfortunately. As much as we don't want to say that, there are children. And I think they're being left behind now more than ever because the access to broadband isn't there. Now, McAllen is very different than communities like Edinburgh and San Juan. McAllen has been the pioneer of many, many things. So how do you see, because right now there's a digital gap, how will you, if elected, will you provide and offer any form of initiatives that would help bridge that gap to increase the foundations of these students, but also help the parents and ease their minds as to, well, I, who has no experience in working a laptop, a computer, or an iPad, how can I, as a parent, be affluent enough to function for my child's sake? And will you consider possibly partnering with businesses for those families who have more than one child at home and they only have one laptop? Will you be able to, do you think that this is something that you'd consider possibly so you can bridge that gap and increase the foundation for the kids to help them? I know technology is not something you can do, because unless you're going to call the PUC and tell them that we need a lot of stuff down here, that is an option. But how do you think that in that role and that capacity, do you think you'd be able to help these families and ease their minds?
So I agree. The digital gap is there, and it's been there for a while too. It's not something that's new to the area, and so if I'm elected to this board, I am one voice, but I'm going to advocate. I did it as the director of early college high schools with South Texas College. One of the one of the issues that we faced was all of these kids were taking college coursework and high school coursework at the same time. And some of them could only do their college coursework during school hours, or, the couple of hours that school was open afterwards, because they didn't have access at home. And some of them lived in really rural parts of the area. And so access was not there or spotty, if at all. We had students that graduated with an associate's degree, but they spent their entire high school years, because they take coursework as early as ninth grade in early college. They spent their entire high school years at the Burger King outside, trying to access Wi-Fi because they didn't have any. And so I do think that as we move forward, and we are not just having to, but expecting kids to digitally or virtually work from home or from wherever they can, we need to make sure that they have those tools. And I would certainly advocate for that. I know that there are families that are struggling with not enough technology, Wi-Fi issues, connectivity issues. And so, we can't leave the parents' voices out. And every district, McAllen, Edinburgh, you name it, they all have a parental component. And I think we need to task that with, let's listen to what the parents need. One of the things that I do see that we have with parents is the ability to advocate for themselves. We have parents that need things that they don't know how to ask for. They say, I've got to teach, my child has to do this from home, so there's the computer, and I'll help them however they can, if I can or not. But they don't self-advocate, not because they don't want to or they're scared to. They may not know how to self-advocate. So I think we need to really empower parents to self-advocate and say, hey, I don't want my child to fall behind. I don't want my child to lose out on credits or be held back a year because I don't understand how to use the computer. It's very possible to hold learning sessions for parents and teaching sessions for parents so that they understand. Everybody kind of got thrown into it again when we heard, it's a pandemic and we're all going to have to stay home, and now your child's going to have to turn their homework in virtually or come and pick up a packet, fill it out, and drop it off. Both options were, crazy at the moment for everybody. And so I do think we need to do a good job of making sure that we help educate the parents as well and give them the tools to be able to help their children too.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I ordered curbside the other day from a local restaurant here in McAllen, and I went ahead and walked in because there was nobody inside from what I could tell, just the cleaning crew and somebody behind the bar. And I was picking up my order when all of a sudden I hear a small child from the back of the room say, Mommy, I need help. And so the lady that was helping to set up the tables and all of that in Spanish says, "Ay, voy ahorita, mijito. I'll be right there." And so I saw her go over to the corner, and he had his little computer open and was trying to get something done through his homework. And she kept saying to the teacher, she kept saying, "I don't understand. I don't know how to do it. I can't do it." And so I asked the girl that was bringing me my order, I said, "So you allow him to come here?" And she says, "They don't get Wi-Fi where they're at. So we need her. So we allow her child to be here to access Wi-Fi." And I thought, well, this is very noble of that restaurant owner, for one. And two, the mom was struggling so much to just try to get the teacher to help her navigate. And so I went over and I said, let me see how I can help you. And I kind of helped her a little, and they were able to get whatever they needed done. But I think that was a great opportunity to witness it firsthand. Mom wanted to, was looking to help, was asking for help, just couldn't get it done because there hasn't been any teaching. Everybody was thrown into this situation. So I think it's an opportunity for us to help the community by helping them and giving them some tools and maybe having some learning sessions. If they can't come to us, we maybe need to go to them somehow and make sure that they're able to help and to self-advocate and to ask for help when they need it.
Yeah. I know you have I know there's a question, Roman, but I'll try to be brave. So I guess I love what you're saying. So because there's so many issues like this, and most of the time they happen from, families who have the families who get affected as much are those who don't have higher education at times, and they value work, and they need to make a living to provide, come from sometimes rural area. They're not from inner city, and some are, but still are unknowledgeable. I founded a nonprofit back in 2009, so we're about going on 11 years into that, and those are exactly the people who we help. Those are the people who we help, because as much as we would like for parents to self-advocate, they're not going to do that. And it's been my mantra that strangers can help people. And I tell the students that the people who can help you are not just your mom and your dad and your family and your siblings. It's people like me who care about you and understand the struggles that your parents may have. But then again, I'm only one person, and there's not a lot of people like me in our community. And although we wish there were, there isn't. But through my nonprofit, we try to help the families in that such manner, but mostly through school supplies, as they start school, and we're ramping up to it being almost a continuous, not just the beginning of the school year, but all the time. We want to be that person or that organization that people can just call and say, hey, I want to help. These people need help. Can you help? Yes. And some McAllen schools are in our service area. But interesting, I'm more than certain you didn't see the governor just made his announcements today regarding his priorities on the economy of the state. And one of his priority items is broadband issues. So he will be, that's going to be a priority. And I'm more than certain that these connectivity issues that students are facing right now in communities, not just like McAllen, but throughout the whole state, hopefully there's going to definitely be a closure in that gap, which I really hope. But I would say that if you're elected, I would really try to encourage you to create a task force within the district to have a small group, because I know this is something that's not going to happen overnight, but a small task force that would be able to go out to those families that are easily identifiable by the districts, those who receive Title I funds and meet certain criteria, and be able to reach out to them and ask them, how are you all doing? There's nothing in the book that says you cannot do that. I believe there's only one school district in the Valley, to my knowledge. Back then, I did my thesis back in 2011. That's when I did my stuff. But there was only one district that actually went out. They had a group of teachers, and they went out to find out what's going on with Brenda. Why hasn't she come to school? Or why is she not turning her work assignments? And they actually did that to find out what is going on in that home. And I know that some people may think that those are a lot of resources, but if we're here to improve student education, and if that is the goal of the board, not just the contracts that they sign and people have to pay, out of their money that's already, short, I think that that's something that would be taken in a positive light, especially right now.
Sure. I do think I didn't get to see the governor's announcement today on his priorities, but I'm glad that broadband is one of them. I do think it's critical. I do think that students are struggling, teachers are struggling, parents are struggling with this whole new situation. It's not just students are falling behind, they're not turning in their work, students have a variety of reasons. I've always talked about family dynamics, even as we implemented early college high schools, which was a tough thing to do. Students already had enough of a load with high school work, and then we're throwing college coursework in the mix, right? So I think that these are not new issues. They're just, everything was kind of overnight. This is how we're doing things now. And so there wasn't an adjustment period for anybody. There was just kind of, now you're at home and you have to continue to work, and you have to continue to turn in your work, and you have to continue to learn and thrive. And nobody really knew how to do that all at once. I think technology has been in the schools. McAllen ISD has, of course, been a pioneer in making sure that all kids had the technology that they needed at home. But nobody was prepared for this pandemic to say, now everybody's doing it this way, whether we like it or not, whether we can deal with it or not. Safety was always the first concern, and it continues to be the concern. You know, we are in a situation where numbers are spiking again just today, like I mentioned earlier. So we do need to make sure that we can get all of that to the kids and make sure that they've got the tools, that the parents have the tools, that everybody's prepared to be able to learn and thrive in this environment. And so I'm pretty sure, and I think that the district is already trying to address that. I know which district you were talking about, going out to the communities. I remember the story in the paper very, very clearly when that whole district went out to visit the communities. They all kind of jumped on the school buses and went out, which of course was a great idea. We can't do that right now either. You know, we still have to maintain CDC guidelines and make sure that everybody's safe. So it would be awesome if we could all just kind of climb in a bus and go visit the households that have been identified, because we know where they're at. We know where their schools are, and just go back and visit them and make sure that everybody's doing great. But we do need to have a plan to make sure that everybody is prepared and has the tools to learn in this new environment. And I think we're going to get there at some point. It's going to take time. I think now that we're almost a year, right? We're in February, and we kind of got sent into this situation last February, more or less. We've had a year to try things out, test things, see how it goes, and we've learned a lot. And those lessons are now what we need to gather and discuss and come up with a plan for, because it doesn't look at this point like we're going to be able to have everybody come back into a classroom. I don't know when we will all be able to just not have to wear a mask in public, right? So we just need to make sure everybody's safe. And so you've got and made some very, very valid points there. And one of the things that has always been part of my mantra is, if you teach a child to self-advocate, they become adults who can self-advocate. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're lacking, right, with parents. The inability for parents to advocate for what they need because they're afraid. For teachers, you mentioned earlier, teachers are afraid to lose their job if they speak up. You know, nobody should be afraid to say, this is what I need. It's just self-advocacy. If you're stranded in a city you don't know and you're lost, and you have the ability to self-advocate, you're going to stop and you're going to ask somebody, I'm lost, can you help me? But if you don't have that in you, you're going to sit there stuck for quite a while, right? So nobody should feel like, I'm going to get turned away, I'm going to lose my job, I'm going to make a fool of myself because I'm asking for help. So self-advocacy is something we need to be teaching at a very young age, because when we eliminate that barrier, the ability to ask, just simple ask. The worst you can get is a no, right? Yeah. So that's what we need to teach also. We need to make sure people are able to ask for the help when they need it and not be afraid, because, you know, there's no wrong question. As cliche as that sounds, there's no wrong question, you know? So yeah, I absolutely take your recommendation, and I will keep it in the back of my little notebook that I carry and make sure that I look into it later. So if you run into me a year from now or 6 months from now after the election, remind me about it, and I hope to have the answer that will be a good one for you.
Well, I wish you all the best, for sure.
Thank you so much.
I apologize for having to go backstage for a moment ago, but I told you earlier before the show started I was having these weird pains. I have muscular dystrophy, and so we had a conversation about that. So I had to go backstage. I had a major pain, so forgive me. Let me ask Charlie's question. That was supposed to have been asked 20 minutes ago, so I apologize for not asking that question. Some school board members lead, some follow. What is your agenda, and what drives you to want to be on this board? Who are you running against, and why will you do a better job? And give him like a minute or so we can get to rapid fire too.
Okay. So, as a school board member, I'm naturally a leader. I've always considered myself a leader, and I think everybody in this world has the capacity to lead. And also, at sometimes you have to follow, right? Sometimes there's other leaders in charge, and you have to be able to adjust to that as well. You can't always say, "I'm the leader, and this is the way things are done." So, you just have to play the role that suits you at the moment. But I am clearly a leader. I've always considered myself a leader. I'm an independent thinker, Mr. Atkinson, and I will always make decisions that are well thought out, honest, and fair. If I can support something, I will tell you that I can. If I can't support it, I will tell you that I can't, and I will always tell you why I can or cannot. I have a very strong ethical and moral compass that guides all my decisions, And so I have this little joke that I always say, I'm super claustrophobic and I would not do well in a jail cell. So I am not going to go to jail for anybody. I will always make decisions that are ethical and moral. And so why would I be a better school board member? I do have an opponent. I don't know my opponent. I'm not saying that I would be a better school board member than her. If I win, I'm going to do my best to be honest and fair and to listen to every side of the situation, to listen to teachers, to parents, to community members, businesses, whoever comes before me. I will always listen to what you have to say. And again, I will be honest and let you know whether it's something that I can put my name behind or not. But it would always be a fair, honest, and an honest decision. And in these kind of roles, you're not going to make everybody happy, And so I know that. And what drives me to want to run for school board is just that I have a lot of passion for education. I've always been a lifelong learner, and I think I have a lot to offer to this community. I already do a lot for the community. I come from a family of service. My family were teachers and police officers and firefighters and emergency management directors. That's my family. We've been a family of service our entire life. If there's a time when we have a natural disaster, we're all ready to jump in our vehicles and go and help pull people out of water, help feed people, help in any time of crisis. And so it is that ethical and moral background and my desire to always help others that drives me to want to be and serve on this board. I think I have a lot to offer in a different perspective. My background is in education and service, and simply I want to serve my community and continue to serve because I already serve my community and do everything that I can to help. So I'm not saying I'm going to be better than somebody else. If I win, I'm going to do the best that I can, honestly and fairly.
Yeah. And now it's time for rapid fire. After rapid fire, I have two questions specifically having to do with dual credit and transparency that I wanted to ask earlier. So we'll go doing that after rapid fire. I'll ask that question, Charlie, after rapid fire, if that's okay, Mr. Producer. Rapid fire is very simple. Very short answers, whatever comes to mind quickly. Random questions that mean really nothing. Usually about 2 minutes worth of questions, and we'll just ask. If you have any rapid fire questions, everybody post them on the feed right now, and Ms. Producer will do it. Favorite high school in McAllen?
Oh, in McAllen? I love all the high schools in McAllen. All of them.
Okay.
That I need to wear on that day.
Okay, good. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi.
Oh, okay, good job. Okay, are you team Cobra Kai or team Miyagi-Do? I can't even say it. Miyagi-Do. There you go. Oh, Cobra Kai. Is it Cobra Kai? Okay, are you Ralph Macchio?
I'm neither.
Neither. Okay, neither one.
I'm so busy, I don't have time for TV. But I'm neither Cobra
Neither
Kai.
one. Okay. Nike or Under Armour?
Under Armour.
Okay. Hard or soft taco?
Ooh, both.
Okay.
Tacos.
All right. Square pizza or triangle? Square pizza or triangle pizza?
It's
A
pizza.
heart pizza.
It's pizza. I'll take pizza. Actually, pizza is probably my favorite thing to eat other than cake. I love cake.
Oh, that was going to be a question, cake or pie. So I guess we already have that answer, cake or pie.
Everybody who knows me knows I love cake.
Okay, good. All right. Chocolate milk or strawberry milk?
Chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk. Moderna or Pfizer?
Whichever one I can get first. I've been in line for 3 hours before, so whichever one I can get first. I still don't have my vaccine, and I had COVID. I already,
Oh, wow.
I beat it. I beat COVID, so I'm super proud of that.
Good.
But whichever one I can get first.
Okay. I'm sorry you had COVID. And any others, Ms. Producer? If not, I'm going to go my questions. Oh, Godzilla or King Kong?
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Have you seen the trailer for Godzilla King Kong? It's awesome. It's really good. I can't wait to see it. Football or basketball?
I'm a baseball girl.
Oh, neither one. Okay. Tom or Jerry?
Ooh, Jerry, of course.
Okay. Well, the movie's coming out on HBO Max at the end of the month. So I think like February 26th or something. What is your favorite school district in the Valley and why is it BISD? Oh, gosh.
My favorite school district in the Valley is my alma mater, followed by McAllen ISD.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's not even a political answer. That's like an honest answer. All right. Any other? Chiefs or Bucks in the Super Bowl?
I'm a baseball girl.
Neither one.
I don't watch football, but
Okay.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs because my brother-in-law loves the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay. Who's your baseball team?
The Houston Astros.
Oh, wow. Okay. I luckily I can't vote for you because I would not vote for you because I'm a Rangers fan. It's Rangers blue behind me right there. Okay. Who's your favorite Astro?
Jeff Bagwell.
Jeff Bagwell. Okay, that's good. You know what? That's actually a good choice. I'm good with you that one. A married or Miss Producer's asking married or single? What?
Goodness.
Why are you asking this question? Because you said brother-in-law. So
my brother-in-law is the retired fire chief from Mission, and he's a chief, so he likes the Chiefs, right?
okay, all right. I have no idea why Miss Producer is asking married or single. I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not married.
You're not married. Okay, there you go. Any others, Miss Producer? If not, I'm going to ask my next one. Okay, Chris. Okay. Oh, because Miss Producer wants us to promote a match dating game that we're going to be doing sometime this week for Valentine's Day. So we're going to have. We'll explain that one to you after the show. What is your Dora's asking what your alma mater is? Who's your alma mater?
I'm a Hoya Coyote.
Okay, that's actually the symbol. Is that one really? Okay, interesting. I did not know that. Now I know.
It looks like a Go Bronx.
It's a coyote.
You could see it. You could totally see it. It's there. It exists. And you're like there you go. I like that. Okay. Any others? If not, I'm gonna go to real questions. No, we're good. Okay, we're gonna go to real questions now. We are done. We caught up. That's just some of the rapid fire questions. I wanted to ask a question in regards to your dual credit problem or issue that you not problem issue, but as a school board member, one of the big issues is going to be rankings because rankings is going to be it's part of the policy that the school boards will dictate how rankings is done. And some school districts have very elaborate schemes as to whether somebody gets a weighted grade or not weighted grade. What is your perception? Should dual credit and I'll give you Brownsville ISD because I'm a little more familiar with that one. I'm actually not a fan of this particular way they do it, where if you take a regular class, it's weighted at 100. Essentially, if you take an honors class, it's weighted at 110. So, you get 10 extra points. If you're AP or a dual credit class, you are at like 120 or something, and which is kind of odd. There's even, I think dual credit, you can actually get up to a 7 if I'm not, no. AP, if you take the test and you pass the test, you get up to 130, which is higher than a dual credit. So what are your thoughts on weighted systems? And do you think we put too much emphasis on dual credit for our high schoolers?
I don't think we put too much emphasis. I do think that dual credit is a positive. I think that any kind of higher education kids can get. It's the difference between an entry-level job and a managerial job or whatever. It's education, and nobody can take that from them, right? And so I don't think that it's a bad thing. Now, the weighted system, every district does it differently, right? And so they each have their pros and their cons. When you take an AP course, it's a more rigorous course, of course. Your college coursework is also more rigorous than just a regular high school class. And I do think that there's benefits to both. When you take AP courses, you have to take a comprehensive exam at the end. And if you pass it, then you get the AP credit. If you take a dual credit course, you're getting the credit by passing the course. So you're not taking, and you may or may not have to take a comprehensive exam at the end of that course, depending on how the professor puts that course together. But you're getting your college credit, and it's going to go and be transcribed on your transcript, and then you move forward with that transcript, whether you finish with an associate's degree or finish with 12 college hours, whether they be academic credit or career and technology credit. It's all good. So the weighted system, I don't know how each of the different schools do it, but I think it has its pros and its cons. And this is one of those subjects where you're never going to please everyone, right? It's like those big issues about legalizing marijuana, for one, right? Some people want it, some people don't. You know, some people want weighted adjustments for taking AP or honors or IB or whatever the case may be, right? So they have their pros and their cons, and I would have to answer that question after, if I win, after I've been on the board long enough to see how it works out. And again, I would only be one voice on that board, so it's not something that I can tell you I can fix right now. But I can certainly make sure that however I decide to support that, it's going to be after doing much research and doing what's in the greater good for everybody.
I don't know exactly if Charlie was asking a question or that was a statement. So I don't know if that was a question. But I did have a question in regards to transparency. What is Terry Canales, as the state representative in Hidalgo County, created a bill and got passed, and that said that at every open meeting, every issue on the agenda can be addressed by anybody. It doesn't have to be, you have to recognize them. But some school districts go away from that and they say, no, we're going to give you public comment here in the front, and that should be sufficient. But that's not necessarily what the text of the bill says. What are your thoughts on transparency, open government, and the Texas Open Meetings Act, and whether or not people should be allowed to speak on every item on the agenda if they so choose?
I think if you're a citizen and you have something to say, you should be allowed to go before the board and have your time to say what you need to say. Regardless of where it falls on the agenda, you should be able to voice it. I think that sometimes I've heard that it's in the interest of time, right? That sometimes public comments take too long, and somebody could filibuster a whole meeting by just talking for hours and hours. And so I think the rules are in place and we follow the rules. If the rules say everybody has an opportunity to speak, everybody has an opportunity to speak. I've spoken at open forums before, and I've gotten there, I've signed in, I've said what I need to say, I've come prepared to speak, and I think that everybody in the community as a citizen has the right to speak, so let them be heard.
Yeah, and I think Charlie's point was, I guess the question would be is, what is your opinion on teachers being put in the front of the line there at the school district, and what can you do to make sure that teachers have access to the vaccines, considering that children under the age of 16 cannot take at least the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine before they can go in. Maybe the Johnson & Johnson they will. So what are your thoughts on that? I think that's what Charlie was going at.
I didn't see Charlie's question. I had seen the one.
It was more of a comment, but I think that's what comment was going towards.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm waiting for the vaccine myself, right? So, and I'm out in the community doing things with the community. I work with capable kids, and all of the kids that I work with are disabled, and some are medically fragile, and so I feel like I've had COVID and I need the vaccine, but I'm waiting my turn. I'm being extra careful, and I've got my mask. I double mask when I'm in at the grocery store. I double mask just because of the number of people that are in there. And so I think at this point, we just need to make sure everybody gets the vaccine, everybody that wants it, and that can, you know, it needs to be accessible. I think in general, this is the circumstance across the nation, not just here. If you watch the news, you see that long lines everywhere across the country. Everybody's trying to get the vaccine, and so I'm hopeful that they will produce more. I heard the story this morning about Moderna trying to get 15 actual vaccines out of one vial instead of 10 because they feel like that would speed up the process. Unprecedented. We haven't had, you know, a situation, at least not in my lifetime, where you have to mass vaccinate the entire community. So we just need to be patient, and everybody needs to get it that can get it, that wants it. So, you know, that's all I can say about that at this point. And I also feel like tempers flare and the blame gets put on our county officials or, you know, our leaders. And so I do think that everybody's trying to do their best. And much like anything else, there's always going to be an issue of, you know, it's not fast enough, it's not fair, it's not enough, you know, but we're dealing with a situation that we were not prepared for. So I really hope that everybody that needs it, that can get it soon. I'm waiting for mine, and I'm hopeful that sometime in the near future I'll be able to get it as well.
Yeah. And we kept you along, you know, an hour. Usually my last question is a very generic question. Is there any particular issue or topic that we didn't talk about in this hour that you feel passionately about that you want to talk about? This is your chance.
No, you all really covered a lot. Thank you very much for having me on and asking me the tough questions. And I just feel like this was a really nice thing for you to do to help the community kind of get to know us a little bit better. I know you generally don't do the McAllen area, but welcome to McAllen. And,
no, we're Rio, and we're like the whole valley. We want to do everybody and anybody who would like to do it. And so I live in McAllen. I mean, in Brownsville. Madi lives in Edinburgh. Cruz, who's commented earlier, he lives in San Juan. So we have different places that we all live in. So we want to help out Valley candidates as much as possible. So, I didn't even ask this. Would you be, and Miss Producer lives in one city that we're not allowed to say because she's supposed to be anonymous, even though she just told everybody, at least us three, where she lives. We would be willing to host a debate between you and your opponent. If we can set it up, would you be willing to come on to do some sort of a debate, maybe in April to get closer? Awesome. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm hopefully your opponent will want to do that too. I think she commented earlier. So hi. She said earlier in the thing, I didn't recognize her. I apologize.
She's saying hi. I'm saying hi back.
Yeah, no, she said hi. She said hi. Okay. So guys, this is Real Politics Live. Thank you, Sofia, for coming on. We can try to schedule either debate or you coming back on again. I would love to have you on. Please share the video. This video doesn't get deleted. Please share it on your personal page, your campaign page. Those of you that know Sofia, please share it on your page as well so you can help Sofia get her message out there. And she seems to be very transparent, so I'm sure if you ask her a question, she'll be willing to answer your question. Oh, yeah. So be safe. So we'll see you all tonight. I think we're doing a late show, maybe about 11 o'clock, más o menos. So keep an eye out on there. If you haven't already turned on your live video notifications, either on YouTube or on Facebook, make sure you do that so you don't miss any of our programming. And the late shows are no holds barred, like Miss Producer said. And tomorrow we have a guest from McAllen. Miss Producer wants me to let you know, Sofia, that our late night shows are no holds barred. So we say all kinds of weird, dumb stuff, not necessarily like this. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll have McAllen. I know, right? Exactly. Tomorrow we'll have McAllen City Commissioner running for re-election in, I believe, District. What is it? 3? I want to say it's 3, but I could be wrong. 3. Yeah, 3. Commissioner Omar Quintanilla, he'll be joining us tomorrow on Real Politics Live at 8 o'clock. So please make sure you look out for that. And we appreciate you being with us, Sofia. Madi, we'll see you tonight, hopefully. And God bless each and every one of you. See you tonight. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.